heard me doing this, I'll go in my in her bedroom and lay on the bed and just do that. And it does help you connect when you do those. It does help you connect.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. When you do the vibration of me, it stimulates the thyroid, but B stimulates the pineal.
And where are we moving
So the
into
B sound.
being? Perfect.
I learned that same thing from a yogi breathing master. He taught us that in his home as we sat with him for hours, and so it's an ancient practice. I love it. And it reminded me of the word I am really is the same toning as om. I am home, om. And so it's like this internal om that you get to sit with, and I am home.
I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, is that
That's
all we
great.
need to do?
Yeah. How does it with the?
Okay, now with the adrenal gland, it's quite fascinating. The solar plexus has a direct connection to the adrenal glands because of the vagus nerve. And when we get sympathetic stimulation, it stimulates our adrenal glands to release epinephrine, norepinephrine, fight or flight. But when we are calm and the vagus nerve activates the adrenal glands, we actually produce the precursor hormones for our ovaries, our testes, our thyroid gland, and we help our kidneys, we help everything, because it signals to the adrenal gland that we're not in fight or flight, that we can make repairs on our body. And that's why it's so vital that we keep our solar plexus calmed down so that we don't get into that fight or flight.
Exactly. And we're going to, with the world, with all that's going on, and all the debates and all the
Fear.
craziness is like we're having, and the more sensitive you are, the more you have to pull back and say it's all in divine timing, it's all perfect, and keep that solar plexus calm. That is your power center. Now, the next picture I'm going to show you is a vision I had, and this was the best I could find to demonstrate where we're actually changing, we're morphing, I like to call it, we're in the process of mutating.
Transmutation.
Yeah. Okay. So going back to what we've been studying, the root chakra is grounded in the I am. I am this, I am that, that's your root chakra. I am love, or if you use it in a negative way, then you manifest that. Sacral chakra is the creative energy, okay? And the solar plexus is confidence and self-esteem. Remember, when you're working with this and you're cleaning it, create your violet flame and step into it and allow it to work together. But this is where we're moving. We're moving into a unification. You cannot move up into your God powers, and most of us that have accelerated our DNA through the Saint Germain work, you are moving into a unification of the three chakras. As those unify, procreation will change too on the earth. You will not choose in the same way to procreate. You can do that, but actually it's going to be an energetic procreation, where 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, because as you go into oneness, we start understanding we're all fractals. You think the thought, whoever wants to be impregnated, and you think the thought, and the baby, this is Mother Mary, how she conceived, so the story goes, but this is the story behind that. She was impregnated through the energy being placed within her. And there's many things we can do with that. So we're just on the cutting edge of some of this. So the chakra, notice that this is all going to change in color. Now, what the guides actually showed me is this is actually going to become a blue, a different kind of blue. But I couldn't find anything to represent what I've been seeing except this. This is the closest. As we start bringing this energy up and we clear out these chakras, there's a different expression and you begin to glow and walk differently upon the earth. You're truly in your God power.
And it's actually a baby blue it's gonna become.
Okay.
Kind of like when the sky is really
That's
clear,
kind
you
of
see
what I was,
that baby
that's what
blue.
I was seeing.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Yeah.
really fascinating to see how this all shifts. But some of what we're going through now is that transformation down here. And it doesn't mean your ovaries and stuff are going away, but sometimes all of a sudden you get a pain. Ow! You know, the vagina all of a sudden will contract. Ow! You know? Or I'm sure on the male anatomy the same thing.
Can hurt.
Yeah.
It can hurt.
It can hurt as we're going through this, and you wonder what's going on in my body. Well, we are mutating into a different type of being. We're going into our light body forms, but we're doing this because we're purging our shadows. So this is why it's important to do shadow work. It's important to get in there and change that energy to a much different energy. Shadow work is not the funnest thing to do.
Yeah. But one thing Saint Germain is telling me, that's why the violet flame is so vital.
Yes.
It makes the shadow work a lot easier.
Much easier.
So you need to step into that transmutation of the
Yeah.
violet flame, and that way the shadow work literally won't hurt.
So, yes.
Some of this is ancient though. It's
Oh, absolutely. Humans have been evolving forever.
There's, I was reading about this tribe where a woman would say, I want this baby.
They say they
right,
were
this
living in
soul,"
a higher vibration, that tribe was.
and go under the tree and listen and
Yes.
learn the baby's soul song. And then go to the father
Exactly.
and teach him the song.
So soul song, I read that
And
same
then
one.
the tribe,
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's actually,
All back then, they lived in a much higher vibration than what we went down to. So we're coming back up, remembering
yep.
the remembrance of what we're going into. So we have all this knowledge inside. This is just to wake up the brain to go, oh yeah, like you're saying. You know, so different people are going to come out with many different stories. Now, in my world, I think the whole world is woken up. And my guides have to tap me on the shoulder and say, no, Cynthia. You know, because I'm surrounded by so many enlightened people. But the world is not awakened. You know, there is still many asleep. And this would look like, who knows what. I'd probably be burned at the stake or something. But anyways, this is a good rendition to kind of show you that we're evolving. And we're opening up our crown chakras. And the day will come, truly, guys, as you go into your empowerment, you will be able to command the elements. You will be able to say, mountain, move, and it moves, because you will be in your God power. The world that I see that I will be existing in is very different than this world. It's very different, and I've seen it for years. So it reminds me of somebody running a marathon going, oh, are we there yet? Are we there yet? You know. Well, the creation is you change you and then you change. That brings it into manifestation. So let's see, what have I forgotten? Oh, one of the things that works really nicely is to get up in the morning and invoke. I invoke through my I am present the highest reality, the highest dimension, and the highest timeline possible for me today. And with that, invoking that, what happens is then you give them permission for the angelic teams to set you on that timeline. So as I said before, these are all power ways to walk into your power.
Will you repeat that for me, please?
I invoke through the mighty I am presence, my highest reality, the highest timeline, and the highest, let's see, I invoke the highest reality, highest timeline for me today.
is on that paper you use?
I don't know if I know that.
I don't think so.
That's something I've been doing for several years.
There's an image that comes to mind outside of words, where you can sit and imagine the torus field around you, the biggest, largest, shiniest, brightest, most aligned torus field, and it's at your heart center. Sometimes I forget the words, but you can imagine that shape, and it is the same vibration.
Exactly. The trick is, or I don't think it's a trick, but is making the time each day to make yourself number one important. And not get into the doing, but be in the being. And make certain you spend an X amount of time being in this energy so you can create what it is you want. And then you walk away and let it go. And then you see what unfolds. I love doing some of this because then it's a scavenger hunt throughout the day to see what appears.
Treasure.
It is. It's like, ooh, I wonder what happened and how is this going to manifest. So I think with that, if there's no questions, I would like to do the afterglow. And we'll go off camera, but we'll do the closing with Scott, or if Scott is busy, I can do it. But we'll do the closing so the camera has that. And then we'll do the sharing and work on her putting the heavenly goo. I see it as a beautiful blog.
Yeah. Do you mind if I do something real quick?
Sure, come on.
Because over the weekend, I was down in Vegas teaching, and I was praying, and Jesus appeared, and he said, Scott, right now it's really important to attach to the love of God and become that love of God, because when in Matthew 22:36-40, this Pharisee comes up and he wants to trick Jesus. He says, what's the most important law? And Jesus says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy mind, and thy soul. Okay, our soul is the mighty iron presence. Our mind has to be in alignment with the love, and our heart has to be in alignment. So that's how we love the Lord, our God. And the reason I'm bringing a little music is there's a tone that helps us access this, and I found it from Barry Goldstein. His Infinity song is very powerful in bringing that energy. And then the second law is like unto it, love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't love anybody more than you love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, how can you love your neighbor? And that's what causes all the conflicts out in the world, is we do not love ourselves, and we judge others, we judge ourselves, it creates all this discord. So I want to do a really quick meditation.
Absolutely.
And use Goldstein's thing. So I want you to close your eyes so you get rid of that visual energy. And take a big deep breath up through your body, connect to the heavens, and then back down, connecting to the earth. And I want you to take and bring in the love of God. Ask God to bring God's love into your heart. Bring that love into your heart. And I am the love of God. The love of God is in me. I am the love of God. And release. Breathe in again. It's the law of threes. I am the love of God. The love of God is in me.
And relax. Relax. Beautiful.
And breathe in again. The love of God is in my heart. I am the love of God. And release. Then bring the love of God up into your heart again. I bring in the love of God into my heart, and I bring it up into my mind, and my mind sees only the love of God and only thinks about the love of God. And then release. Breathe in again. The love of God into your heart, and bring it up into your mind. I only think of others with love, the love of God. And breathe out. Breathe in again. The love of God in your heart, bring it up into your mind. I only think of the love of God, and the love of God is what I think. So be it. And release. Then breathe in again. The love of God into your heart, and bring it up into your mighty I am presence, the 8th chakra or energy center. I am the love of God, and my mighty I am presence is the love of God. I am the love of God. And release. Breathe in again. The love of God in your heart, and bring it up into that 8th chakra again. My mighty I am presence is filled with the love of God, and the love of God fills my mighty I am presence. I am the love of God. Breathe out. Breathe in one last time. The love of God in your heart, bring it up into the mighty I am presence. I am the love of God, and bring it all the way down through your root chakra down into Mother Earth. I am the love of the earth. And breathe out. So what this does, it creates that energy so that you come in alignment with loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy mind, and all thy soul. Now we have to do the connection with our neighbor. Now, it's really interesting. 2 nights ago, I was having a little difficulty bringing in the love of God into my heart. And I asked, okay, why is this happening? And I got really strong because I'm mad at Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and George Soros. And Jesus said, who is thy neighbor? In our world we live in today, we're all so interconnected. We can talk to anybody, anywhere in the world, and we can do this with our thoughts. So I was told by Jesus, connect to George Soros, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett, and start ho'oponoponoing them. And so I started going, okay, I love all 3 of you. I know that you have most of the money in the world. I know that you have most of the technology in the world and you want to control the world, but I love you. And I'm sorry for my thoughts of being angry at you. And I pray that you forgive me. And I forgive myself for those thoughts. And I thank you for being on the earth and teaching us and creating all this technology, all this money, all that you've created. And then you just keep it going until you feel that love between you is connected. Now guess what this does? It's like Hugh Lin doing Ho'oponopono with the psychopaths in the prison there in Hawaii. You can change them. Isn't that amazing? You know, they're wanting to become transhumanists and, you know, get avatar bodies and all this stuff, but we can actually, through Ho'oponopono, get rid of their negativity as we get rid of our negativity. And what does this do? We are loving our neighbor as ourselves. So it's real important that you love yourself first.